Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Wan Kamaruddin bin Abdul Rashid and my partner is Besari bin Mat Daud. Well, today we are going to present a pair assessment called as changes made any organization by any government or private sector in Malaysia. Well, today we are going to present the changes made by the Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia upon the school opening during the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, in this report, we are going to present into 2 points. Firstly is the changes made by this organization, this Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia, and the second point is the implication or impacts caused by these changes. Well, as my part, I will explain a little bit about the changes. Firstly is during the first attack of COVID-19 in Malaysia, the Ministry of Education has come up with a lot of policies and manuals in order to adapt with this new normal surrounding, and listed below are the changes manuals made by the organization or by the Kementerian Pendidikan. Firstly, on the 13 March 2020, the Ministry of Education has released a Manual of Standard Operating Procedure or SOP regarding the prevention of transmission of disease coronavirus 19 in schools. And these SOPs are applicable for those stationed and on duty in all the state education department, district education office, and at schools as a general. The main purpose of the SOP is to provide the assistance upon the school management under the administration of Ministry of Education. And this assistance also includes schools such as private schools, international schools, and expatriate schools, which currently registered under the Ministry of Education. And the assistance consists of the efforts by the government in order to control the transmission of this disease COVID-19. And the efforts also includes the management of the government upon those parties who just returned their visit from the high-risk affected country, for example, China, Korean Republic, Japan, Italy, Iran, and some other countries which has been announced by the government recently. Okay, so among the practice listed in the SOP, for example, students are advised to not involve in any program organized by these affected countries and those countries which has been categorized as high risk in COVID-19 pandemic, as mentioned before, such as China, Korean Republic, Japan, Italy, and Iran. And next in the SOP also listed that those who have visited the countries have to be put under the home surveillance for almost 14 days and not supposed to come to school during this time. And the other point listed in the SOP is that school administration must identify those affected students and provide to the state health department their personal data such as names, address, and also the date of their arrival from the affected countries. And besides, the school administration are obliged to notify the affected students to acquire the treatment from the nearest hospital once they are suffering from any symptoms such as fever, cough, and some other symptoms. And last but not least, in the SOP also mentioned that the disinfection process at school must be applied in accordance with the guidelines provided by the Health State Department. Okay, the other changes made by the Ministry of Education is that on the 26 March 2020, the Ministry of Education has granted a specific guideline called as Garis Panduan Pelaksanaan Pengajaran dan Pembelajaran or we call as PDP, along the Perintah Kawalan Pergerakan or MCO. And this guideline are applied and become reference to certain parties such as school administrator, teachers, parents, and the students as well, along the MCO. So the main purpose of this guideline is to ensure that their students are still on the right track in their study, even the MCO occurred during that time. It means that the teachers are also not allowed to come to school, and their task and duty should be proceeded and completed or performed at home only. Okay, as for the school administrator, their task is to ensure that the PDP planning and administration are managed in a proper and effectively and efficiently ways, and they have to ensure that they have to schedule all the teaching activities in the flexible ways. As for the teachers, they must fulfill their tasks and perform their duties only at home. And besides that, they have to plan and prepare all the suitable teaching materials in accordance with the student capabilities. So as the parents side, they have to ensure that their children will get the full access related to the information regarding the PDP session with their teachers. Means that in order to assist their children in the education process, they have to have the access to a certain education web, for example, such as EduWeb TV, or in this web, it consists of the video collection, and the other side also called as Cikgu Tube. Okay, so last but not least, from the student part, students are required to be directly in contact with the teachers in timely manners in order to get access regarding the information related to the PDP process and some other homework tasks that needs to be done in a certain time. And students are required to perform their learning activities using the provided textbook without being outside the home. So that's all the changes, some of the changes made by the Ministry of Education. And the next part will be the implication and impact caused by these changes. And the implication and impact will be explained later by my partner, Besari bin Daud. Well, that's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. My name is Besari bin Daud, 2019867904. Now I want to present about this course is managing change ADS 07. This is our project assessment. My partner is Wan Kamaruddin bin Abdul Rashid. The title is Change made by Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia open to school opening during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now this is my content of 3.0 about implication, impacts. The COVID-19 pandemic has the profound effect on the entry population, specifically for the education sector. Schools had to be closed and cause face-to-face teaching and learning PDP season to be shorter. The Ministry of Education, MOE, always strives to ensure that PDP continues to be implemented so that all the students are not left behind and can follow learning in the safe environment. During the closed school period, MOE strives to provide learning access to students through home-based learning method according to the suitability of teachers and students. When the school reopened from 24 June 2020, students will have the opportunity to follow face-to-face learning at school. However, there are still some students who follow PDP through home-based learning, especially for schools that implement rotation module. To strengthen implement of home-based learning, home teaching and learning manual (PDPR) is provided as a guide of the teacher. Is implement PDPR instructor and plan so that students can follow home learning optimally. This PDPR manual cover various PDP methods can be done from home, such as online, offline, or offsite. Overall, the teacher assesses the students continuously as appropriate and plans to implement intervention according to the level and ability of the students. For everyone information, for students who have device and internet access at home, MOE provide online learning facility through survival platform. Among them, the Gita Educational Learning Initiative Malaysia, the lima learning platform is educational video in the EduWeb TV portal, as well as educational video shared by teacher in the Cikgu portal. Meanwhile, for students who have no interest to access or device acceptable for online learning, teachers take to an initiative to implement PDP by handing out learning material to students as appropriate. People can also to printed textbook and as a reference material, prepare note and conclusion, or draw a concept. Apart from that, PDP is also implemented through education TV broadcast by talking and initiative to reintroduce educational TV terrestrial starting on April 6, 2020. The entry educational TV broadcast time on TV OK, RTM, Tutor TV Astro, and NTV7 is for 9 hours per day. After the school reopened in stage, students can return to be opportunity to follow the learning face-to-face and interact with the teacher. However, this situation did not last long as all schools had to be closed again from 9 November 2020 due to the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. In this situation, students and teachers are better prepared to implement PDP at home because they have a previous experience of MCO before. All these efforts clearly show that the school and teachers are so committed and have worked hard in carrying out their responsibility to ensure that students do not lag behind in learning. The Ministry of Education Malaysia, MOE, is also aware that this year's school season also affect the mental psychology of students. Therefore, during the closed school period, students can contact the guidance and counseling teacher at the school if they need guidance and advice among the method that can be used through tele-counseling, phone call, and WhatsApp application. In addition, short video and infographic provide as reference for students for everyone's information. MOE is also collecting information on the impact of schooling and the implementation of online learning on students' emotional well-being. This will be to guide for the MOE to design and approach and form of psychosocial support for student mental well-being as a result of change in learning method due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In the fact, the development of online learning in school has already started when the MOE introduced smart school starting with 88 schools. This later extend to all schools through the school engagement. Further introducing the use of the virtual learning environment, and now the digital learning platform. Previously, teachers used this online learning as support for conventional learning conducted in the classroom at school. However, in the early stage of its use, it is very limited and not all teachers use it. Most teachers use the online learning platform as repository for students to obtain learning material in the form of PowerPoint presentation and not in PDF format. However, the implementation of user monitoring in every school conducted by MOE has been some extent effective in improvement of online learning. Also recommend for you. Learning at a full e-learning at University 2020. School opening guideline provide educational institution. COVID-19 education through the virtual world is a new challenge for the teacher. COVID-19 PDP transformation within IPT. The disaster that befell the country to some extent has impacted the use of online learning system in school, starting with the closure of school due to the haze that hit survival state in the peninsula, and most recently, the spread of the COVID-19 that hit the world has shown the sharp increase in the use of online learning to replace learning in the classroom. Based on this scenario, it can be concluded the most teachers and students are ready to expose to online learning, but to ensure overall use, some key issues often rise, including infrastructure, facility, including adequate equipment and access to internet access should be not. MOE has implemented many initiatives, including online learning, to put the country education system on par with development country. This translates into the Malaysian Education Development Plans 2030-2025. By making equality of the access to international quality education, as well to utilizing communication and information technology (ICT) to improve the quality learning in Malaysia. However, the plan needs to be strengthened by creating a clear online learning policy to ensure that each party play their respective role to ensure that this is a goal to achieve. The curriculum developed should also to adapt to online learning, including students can teach talking into account lesson content, learning approach, and assessment method that are different from conventional method. There is no doubt that there are various training already organized by ministry aimed at improving teacher skill in building digital teaching material. But emphasis should also given to skill training, how to conduct online teaching differently from the classroom teaching in separate situation between teacher and student. The existing school system will also undergo change to teacher teaching scheduling method will also take into account teacher preparation time, conventional and online classroom teaching, including internship and online teaching. MOE conduct Various courses provide teachers with the skill to use digital learning platform and build teaching material. This positive development, which can also be seen when many teachers are able to provide their own digital learning material for students to use and share with other teachers. This can be through the Special Interest Group (SIG) created to help counselors by expert teachers, including the ChekkuTube, Google Classroom, Malaysia Telegram group, and Facebook library and media teacher. However, this so doubt that there are still few teachers who need guidance, and it is hoped that the role played by this skilled teacher friend as well as coach who have been appointed can help them. Compared to students, mobile device and internet are not new. In fact, they are already exposed to the variety of more interactive online applications. Therefore, it is difficult for them to use the online learning platform. And it is a challenge for teachers to produce more interesting learning material for students who cannot afford and do not have internet access. Teachers who implement online teaching need to think alternative methods to help the student continue to learn. Infrastructure facilities are among the things that are often talked about throughout the implement of online learning in the past. The MOE also taken various measures to ensure the facility in school are improved from time to time, but there are still teachers complain about internet access problem. Therefore, to ensure the smooth running in online learning, the ministry need to identify truly competent service provider to provide this facility nationwide. MOE has also moved the new digital learning platform to replace the frog virtual learning environment effective July 2019. The new platform allows teachers to access the Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, online training application, and EduWeb. However, whatever learning platform is used, it must support among the learning approach. Has easy to use, easy to accessible, feature, technical support service, evaluation, and reporting can be integrated with the other application, security and privacy, as well as mobile compatibility. This infrastructure and infrastructure facility need each other. On failure will make the online learning process impossible. Online learning requires high student discipline as well as strong support to encouragement from teacher and parents. Among the factors that corroborate to be loss of students, focus are at home environment that is not acceptable for learning, unattractive learning material, internet access problem, failure of technology equipment use, inappropriate student, lack of parental and poor student to support in the subject. To increase the student attendance during online learning, teacher can provide interesting to and appropriate learning material, whether in the form of video, worksheet, animation, and so on. Much of the lesson content can also be broken down into small pieces to make it easier for students to process information and reduce their learning time. Online game activity can also increase student focus and revising for each activity of question. The student can increase the motivation to learn. Teachers should also be ready to record lesson that is implemented sincerely to prevent students from dropping out. Parents are no exception to play an important role in supporting children learning by providing basic facility for them to study at home, such as internet line, computer or smartphone, and comfortable learning space. In addition to physical facility, parents also need to be prepared to play a role as facility, as well as given encouragement and motivation to children. Create a specific learning schedule at home, as well as help children manage their learning activity either online or in person. A change to be made cannot happen overnight. It takes time, strong support and agreement from various parties. Every decision made will have a hard impact on the education system. Despite the fact that online learning has been implemented by most teachers, especially during the PKP period due to the COVID-19 outbreak, the situation will be very different when the situation recovers. Teachers return to the daily routine in school to perform face-to-face teaching in addition to other tasks. The same goes for the leave of students and parents. Therefore, more carefully, planning needs to be done and ensure that online learning can continue. Teacher needs to continue to use online teaching approach the support classroom teaching. Continuous monitoring by school and ministry can ensure that this digital learning platform continues to be used by teacher and students. Special award the agreement the two teacher and students skilled in online learning can be device filled through the different category by making it on the annual event, whether at the school, district, state, or national level. In addition to online learning to support conventional learning, I think that it's time for MOE to move forward by implement blended learning, which a combination of face-to-face or online learning entirely. This aims to help students who drop out the result of being involved in extracurricular activity following their family about for a long period, long time here leaving school, taking elective subjects that are not offered at the school, and with students who need more time to master listen. In conclusion, the change is online learning in the Ministry of Education Malaysia have changed all learning and teaching style or have to hard impact on teachers, students, and the parents of the importance of current information technology. The matter also constrained, especially for students in the village and inland. As the result of the study for the MOE, 36.9% of students nationwide to have any electronic device. In addition, internet speed is one of the main issues faced by students during the PDPC process at home after MCO come into force March 18. This definitely make the learning objective can only to achieved by a certain group. What about the poor? The matter needs to be considered if e-learning is being maintained and made the main medium of student learning in Malaysia. For more than a decade, the world has entered the new millennium, seeing the learning in education environment in Malaysia also changed. The e-learning system actually not something new in Malaysia, which already in line with a developed country. Only the bit less popular before and only necessary during the PKP or MCO. From the MOE surveyor, it is found the ownership of electronic devices such as computer and smartphone to enable PDPC to implement at home is quite limited. Only 6% of students have personal computer and tablet. 5.67%, laptop 5%, and smartphone 46%. To ensure that the objectives are achieved and reach the target group, namely students, KPM or MOE need to examine the best method to fashion and constraint. Teachers also need to set best method that is a more suitable to be used, ensuring that the learning process continues and be achieved whereby target group. E-learning theory include the student can better control their learning through collaborative, iterative, and provide learning opportunity. E-learning provide a learning environment based on the principle of just in team, with the competency of anywhere, anytime, anyone. The e-learning system is like new dimensional learning environment. Most students have fun and they really like to learning environment compared to studying in classroom that they consider limited and confined. They are happy and having opportunity to actively participate in online discussion and activity. The important things that parents need to understand and this e-learning is that the teacher only have the student and service as a facilitator. Parents need to be diligent and aware of preparing and learning process for their children at home. The e-learning process not only change the role of teacher, but change the role of parent at home, especially the role of parent whose children are still in year 1 and year 3. This student is definitely not able to do online assignment on their own. Parents need to help and monitor the child activity. So this is where the new challenge for parents to create a learning environment at home. The virtual classroom method also indirectly denies exclusion of the teachers checking their lead throughout the PKP or MCO. In the recent search of the praise Google Classroom, Malaysia ranked second in the world. These are facts. Statistics that prove the real effort of teachers in Malaysia that many do not know and certainly do not see. For everyone, information, Google Classroom is an online teaching and learning software operated by Google, with the platform used by the MOE. This approach has been used by teachers in Malaysia in e-learning during MCO. That's all. And 5.0 is a reference. I have five reference. Refer the perclearing of MOE, AKPA, JPA, and other source is Sinar Harian, Berita Harian. Thank you. That's all. Assalamualaikum.